Dollar steak salad digest. What's up, everybody?
What's up,
Welcome.
everybody?
What's going on?
Hey, our technology is working, Dave. Yay!
It's working. Woohoo!
That's right. Oh, I gotta show you something.
You know, when two pickles in a jar lay really close to each other and they love each other,
Go on.
then about 2 weeks later, they ferment, and here comes a baby Mr. Pickles in a unicorn suit. And you think to yourself, oh, wait, that's the one you already know. This is Mr. Pickles and baby Mr. Pickles. And baby Mr. Pickles is wearing a unicorn onesie with a fluffy, swingy tail. So how cute is that? Mr. Pickles made a baby.
Where did you find such?
This was a gift. This was a gift from God. The stork brought baby pickle. Okay, actually, it came from Christopher Voss.
Dude, that is
Christopher
awesome.
Voss sent me baby Mr. Pickles. So, in a unicorn onesie, no less. Two magical worlds collide. So, let me tell you something. What's up, C-Ray? We have got an exciting show for you today on
Beat
That
headline.
That's right, because today is a results show.
Ooh, I love the results. So, Jim, how can I share this to my Facebook profile page so people over there can view as well?
If you
probably just go to Facebook. Your Facebook.
You could go to you go to my Facebook profile and share it. Maybe.
Look at that. Technology is amazing.
I'm over 50 years old. I'm not supposed to know how this stuff works at all. I mean, you're asking me. It's like, whoa. I still got a flip phone. No, I don't. That's a lie. I have a regular phone. I've had a smartphone for a while, but doing that shtick of the old guy shtick. Carlin's like, who's the winner? Who the winner? Carlin, let me tell you something. You don't just skip to the end of the movie to see the end. You got to have the build up and all that stuff. Right now, we're establishing rapport with the audience. We're going to do that for approximately 102 seconds. Then what we're going to do is we're going to recap what we did, probably do that for about 2.5 minutes. Then we'll discuss, and then people had some thoughts on which one won. We got to make this last for at least like 12 or 13 minutes. All right. Okay.
It was Z. The letter Z.
So the one thing I will tell you is this was not an A/B split test. How do I know that? Because there ain't no A on here.
So let me explain that.
An A/B split test.
Let me explain that. So a few things. Okay. Mainly, and I'm kind of open looping everybody, but we've been kind of in the lab a little bit, developing a cool little add-on software that lives on top of ClickFunnels. So you have the ability to test more often. So you can do it a lot faster, a lot cheaper. And the main reason is we did have 9 split tests running at the same time, which is say it with me, guys, if you know the alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. But I did this Canva, which, by the way, I think is pretty legit, right? So we have a team that's helping us, that's doing all this stuff, but time zones, Israel, I really wanted to get this ready for the show. And so I did this myself. I spent like 45 minutes on this freaking thing of getting everything formatted. And I realized that we had 9 and not 8, and it was going to mess up the formatting of this thing. Cause like, where would the 9th one go? That's one reason. And that is actually the real reason why I did it. But the other reason is was the control. And so I wanted to show what the tests, the variations were. Right. So if I was going to remove one, I wanted to remove the control, because in addition to this headline, we did one other thing that all of these other 8 variations have in common, that are the same, that is different than the original control, which was A. that we're not going to share on this live because we're going to open loop you guys and have you wanting more. And so we'll probably share that another time. So if you're interested in like the whole enchilada or burrito or falafel, now that I'm in Israel, message below. I want it all. And Jim and I will make sure we circle back to share with you the second test that is separate from this headline test.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that said, that was the longest explanation of why there's no A on that page I think I've ever heard. But
and mainly I didn't want to reformat Canva, but it really was. There's a second test that's going on that wasn't related to the headline, so I thought to remove the control because everything else is the headline of this.
There you go. Well, we're seeing people saying I want it all and all that good stuff. So that's cool.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
So I think what we ought to do is jump into looking at some results, looking at some stats. I don't know if you want to share your screen because that's the only place we're going to be able to share those results. So what I think we ought to do, since we're still learning how to do the thing of, I want to thank the Academy for my so what we ought to do is reset up kind of where we were, show them, remind them of the control, show them the derivations that we did, and then you can walk us through kind of the the process that you use, because you didn't just like run them all and declare an instant winner. You actually kind of paired them off a little bit. It'd be cool if you talked about that just for a minute, if you want to. And if you don't want to talk about that, then we don't have to talk about it. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about, as long as you share your screen.
Yeah, I want to talk about jet lag and time zones coming back here in the Holy Land. Cool. So let me share my screen. The nice thing is, Jim, I have two monitors set up finally.
Yay!
So let's see if we can do it. Share screen.
Yep. Hit
so
the share
we're gonna
button now.
Share screen number 3. So if I did this correctly, you guys should be
You want me to add it to this? Now I added it to this.
Oh my gosh.
But so little, I can't see anything. It's so tiny. You gotta zoom in. You're killing me.
You see, the younger version of Dave would say that's what she said, but I'm not going to say that. Instead, I'm going to just zoom in and hope for the best, Jim.
Wow.
Oh man. Okay, here we go. Let's zoom in a little bit. How's that, my man?
That is much better. I went full screen on you, and that is better.
Awesome. So. Okay, we could probably get it a little more as well.
Okay, go ahead. Why don't you do that?
Okay. That's good.
200%. Holy crap!
All right, okay. And we could probably. So, by the way, just to back up here, if you are going to be doing split testing, and by the way, like, oh my gosh, 18 years ago when I first got interested in like marketing and specifically online marketing, one of the things that really drew me in, besides making a whole bunch of money and being able to sleep all day, was the concept of conversion rate optimization, because it married the two things, with like the creative side, like you have an idea, you want to try something, and the reality side of like actually testing it, because a lot of times, people or businesses or one or the other, they're just using data, but the data is like they're not taking a step back and like really strategically thinking, or they have these great ideas. A lot of entrepreneurs might fall on more on the artist side of things. They're creative, they have these amazing ideas, but they don't know if they're working or not. And so when I saw conversion rate optimization, like it just blew my mind that you can make all these incremental wins. And it's like the unfair advantage, because the things that work, you keep running and then you test a new thing. And if it doesn't work, you turn them off. Right. Jim, what was like your first like experience with like conversion rate optimization and split test? Like you were like, oh my gosh, this is like amazing. Cause I know you come from the copywriting world, and which is like the most powerful thing usually to split test, as you're on the show, beat that headline, specifically the headline. But what was your experience like that first time? The
one that stands out to me the most, and I've tested headlines for forever, but the one where it stood out, that's like, this is more than just lip service. This is winning and losing and living and dying, was when I launched a product called 5 Steps to Getting Anything You Want. I'd created an audio CD. I'd been in the I had been in the online business world for about 6 years. Here, I'll come back to that. Come on in, kids. I'll tell you the story. So I had invested a ton of money and time and energy and effort to create a studio quality CD, audio CD, which back in, I think it was 2003, was a real feat to do that. That was not an easy thing to do. And so we had created the website. We had pushed it out there to my list. We didn't call it a funnel, but I had my, one-page sales letter. And I had this thing up, and 100 people come through. Nobody buys. Another 100 people, nobody buys. 500 people come through. Nobody buys. I'm like, holy crap, this is a scam. Wait, it's my own thing. It's not a scam. It's that whole thing of, oh my God, what do I do? And then I had a little voice in my head say, well, what would a great marketer do? And then another little voice, apparently I had 3 voices going in my head at the same time. Another little voice said, test a headline. So I tested a headline, and about another 100 people came through, and I got a sale. So I'm like, oh, whew, that's awesome. Most people would have stopped right there. Like, okay, I fixed it. Don't break it. God, I don't want to go back to the way it was. But I said, well, if I can get one, let me test another headline. So I tested another headline. Another 100 people came through, and I got 5 sales. So I went from 0 sales to 1 sale to 5 sales. It was a 500% improvement over the 1, and it was an infinite improvement over the 0. That's when I became a believer. And, over the years, if I'm being honest, I've run hot and cold on being an obsessive tester, because like, okay, this is running, I got to move on to this other thing. But now that I have, we have, it's more than just me and Susan against the world, and we've got people to help us and things. We're doing a lot more testing now than we ever used to do. And it makes a huge, huge, huge difference. But it's been, you're talking 17, 18 years now that I've been a huge believer in doing testing and stuff. Now, before we show the winner, okay, when we look at everybody's answers or everybody who responded to the thing you put up there, the vast majority of people were saying either H or G. I just want to throw that out there for all the people that were on Facebook when you did your thing. I see H, H, G, H, H, E or H, D or H. I think there's people voting in a U.S. election. They're like voting twice. There's a P, C, D, A, D, G or H, E or H. So you heard me say all those. Carlin says his money is on F. So now we're gonna, now I think it's time really to. Okay, so now, and if you need to, guys, go full screen. You can do that on Facebook. You can whack around there and whack a button, and we'll be, you'll be able to see this a little closer. So, Dave, tell us what happened.
Okay. So first, let me give you kind of the lay of the land here, because as you said, like the worst thing to do is not split test anything. The second worst thing to do is split test something and then like forget about it, or not even realize like why you split tested it, or not get a learning, not getting understanding. And by the way, if all you did was just like, great, I want to change a button, or I want to go into funnel scripts and test out 2 separate headlines. So by the way, if you are going to test something, just like whatever to test it, test the headline for sure. And just pick 2 headlines from funnel scripts or whatever headlines you're writing, and fine, fair enough. But the real gold is coming up with a hypothesis, coming up with a reason why you're testing and why you think it's going to win, which is why when people were voting like A, B, C, G, I, whatever, why do you think? Because one, that's going to engage, and whether win or lose, you're going to get a learning. And the more learnings you get, I mean, the worst thing is to like split test something and you lose money and then you have no idea why. But the second worst thing is to split test something and you make more money, make more sales, make more conversions, opt-ins, whatever, and you don't know why. The crazy power of a split test is when you have a hypothesis and you form an idea of why you think this is going to win, and then when it wins, you could apply it to so many other aspects of your business.
Absolutely.
You could apply it to your email follow-ups. You could apply it to your Facebook ads. You could apply it to your OTOs. You could apply it to every other funnel in your entire company. And this is really the power of this, because you're not split testing a headline. You're split testing a thought process of where your customer is in the moment. So if you want to go deeper
from that particular traffic source. So the
Yes.
only thing I want to say is yes, you can apply it, but it doesn't, none of this stuff ever becomes a hard and fast rule. So just because one thing's working here doesn't mean it's always going to work, and doesn't mean it's going to work in every single situation. So it just becomes another thing that you add to your body of knowledge that you can use to start from a better place each time, but knowing it's just a never-ending cycle of testing.
Yep, ABT, baby. Always be testing. And full circle brings us back to this spreadsheet, because you could ask my wife or my friends, I am not an organized person, but when it comes to this stuff, I have no choice. We have to be organized. And so we created spreadsheets to run each test. That's why column A says test, because this test is a headline test. And then the next test we might run might be something else, and so on and so forth. We also say how many days it's been running. We have screenshots of each test that we do. And again, I'm obsessed with this, and this is part of what I do with consulting and agency stuff. So but you don't have to get this obsessed, but you need to get obsessed, because if you're going to take the time to test, you might as well take the time to document. So you get, this tells a story, so to speak. Okay. So to give you some type of guideline, and maybe one day we'll share this if you guys want to use our sheets on how we track stuff. But you see here, column A is the type of test. We did a headline test. Column C is the screenshots. I mean, we do say days running and stuff up here, how long it's been running for. Column E is the actual headline, the difference. So we call it description, right? So here the difference is the headline. And so that's the actual copy that's different. F is the variation, right? So variation A is the control. Remember I was saying, so that's not on that cool little picture that had all the images of the landing pages. I hid some of these columns because that is some internal knowledge that we're not going to share publicly today anyway. And then we're going to go into sales. So we have the conversion rate. We have our added value, and I'll hide that too, just to make it easier to focus on less stuff. We have our probability to win. This is I forget the site. There's like some very scientific site that measures how great of a difference the conversion was based on how much traffic you got. So obviously, people are like, they'll run a split test and like they get like 10 people to come to their funnel, and one page gets 3 signups and one page gets 2 signups. And they're like, oh my gosh, my conversion rate is like twice as much on this one. But you got to run something a little longer to be statistically significant. Significant. So right. We also do that. And you can see here, none of them are 100% probability to win, 90, even 80%. But that's okay, because I'm going to share with you guys our own methodology of how we're doing this. Because if you notice, there's more than just 2 things we're testing. We're testing 8 things, or actually 9 things at one time. So because of that, we do really rapid tests. And instead of choosing a winner quickly, we choose losers quickly. And so what happens is that early on, we start cutting the fat, and then we leave the last 2 to run for a while. So it's kind of like, in ClickFunnels, there's an A/B test where once you run it for a long time, and then you only have one at bat. With what we're doing here is you have 8 at bats, but as soon as somebody's striking out, we bench them. And then it's like a test before a test, so to speak. All right. This is the then the earnings per page view. And at the end of the day, this is what we want. And why, you might say to yourself, well, if obviously the higher the conversion rate, the higher the earnings per page view. And that is usually true. Usually there's a direct correlation, but not always. And let me give you an example. In ClickFunnels, they have things called order bumps. They have multiple options to buy. You could buy like the $47 thing or the $97 thing on the same order form. And so what we find is that sometimes, like, want a sure way to increase your conversion rate? Cut your price in half, like sell it for $1. Your conversion rate will go up, but your earnings per page view will probably go down. And so we want to look at both of these things. And depending on what you really are trying to get out of your funnel will determine, what strategy you're going for, highest conversion rate or highest earnings per unique page view. Okay. I know that all this stuff is boring, but we have to give some context for that. So what do the colors represent? So gray is the things that we stopped, we killed. It's like the bonsai tree we're pruning. And the whites, the ones that are not gray, are the ones that we're still running. Which brings me to the results, Jim. So
nobody chose B and nobody chose I.
And isn't that interesting?
Yes.
And I will say that, you and I should get a little. So Jim and I wrote all of these headlines. And if you want to get a deep dive, because it's not just we didn't just throw something against the wall. Each one of these descriptions had a purpose, a learning. And I'm going to say this over and over again if you guys watch this, and a hypothesis to it. It wasn't just go into funnel scripts and choose the top 5 that seemed right. There was a reason. So do you want to give a couple minutes on what we were trying to find out from these headlines?
Well, basically what we were doing you recall, I think it was back on the very first training that we did for Beat That Headline, and or it wasn't the very first one, I guess it was the second one. And we talked about different angles that you could have for a headline, and you can do it based on their current identity. You can do it on their ideal identity. You can do it based on their number one desire. You can do it based on pain that they want to avoid or eliminate or alleviate. You can do it on the number one desire without pain. So you do like a compound thing, or what's the big thing they want without the pain that they expect to have on that. And then the 7th one is basically revolves around their enemy. It's the things that they don't want you to know type thing, secrets they don't want you to know about this, or the enemy's secrets, or the defeating the enemy. So trying to take those big, broad brush strokes, as opposed to saying, okay, well, we got this one headline that says ready for an avalanche of clicks. So why don't we just change from avalanche to truckload, and we'll test that A/B. And those little fine pinpoint things that that's great to do once you have exhausted the big, broad brushstrokes. But what we're trying to do with this testing is to find the angle that is going to be the one that resonates with people the most, to then go in and do the fine pinpoint stuff. So we want to take that big, broad brushstroke. So, in fact, I did wrote an article about this today, is that most people are scared to do this because they're scared of the quote unquote failure that they're going to have.
Yep.
And you can't focus on the failure. You focus on the fact of, I want to find the one. I want to get all this crap out of the way as fast as possible to find the angle that is going to resonate with this audience coming from this traffic source. That's what we're trying to do. So was that what you were looking for, Dave?
That was everything and more, and a bag of pickles, and a bag of pickle chips. Yes, we and some people call it, and this we did radical headline testing, I guess, which wasn't even so radical, but like you could even go more radical, like radical redesign the entire page, radical redesign the offer, so it's actually completely different offers. You can't be afraid to like break stuff, so to speak, and get a macro out of it. And what's crazy is like, think about that, because this software that we built has the ability to test like 10 things at one time. And even being able to test 10 things at one time, we still want to go broad and then niche in. And so you could imagine when all you have is one thing to test against, in that case, you really want to go broad. It's even more of a reason to go broad and not change the one adjective truckload to avalanche or some other, horrible, horrible like natural disaster, a tsunami. I won't say. I will say it. A pandemic of clicks and just like switch out the natural disaster. I digress. So let's look at this then. So each one of these things not only is a different headline, but we're trying to get a broader stroke of where the customer avatar's at. And obviously they're at all these things. They all want the benefit, they all want to remove the pain, they all want to identify, but which one is the first one that's in their brain? And you can learn more about that. I'm going to plug your book, Jim, till the end of time, because it's so freaking good. And it really simplifies this process. And it's actually pulled from this. And maybe we'll put together a training on that where we could walk people through their own business and so they could do this, and we'll give them the software so they could do it too. Okay. So I just find it so interesting that nobody, I think, voted for B.
One person in your thing, Dan said might have been B. No, I'm thinking E. Actually, no, B. So one person guessed.
I love it, and nobody picked I.
Nobody picked I. Yeah.
And a little fun fact. So Jim and I were following a formula about these benefit things, like testing the benefit, testing the pain, testing identity for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then so Jim and I can't help it because we have.
No, I was just going to say, and B was the current identity-based one. How every blank can succeed with blank. I mean, it was just one of the most basic templates. That was the current identity. Didn't have anything to do with, it didn't have anything to do with the big payoff or getting rich with keywords or, crushing influencers or all the other stuff. It's like how every, who you are can succeed with this for just $7.
And what's interesting is we did call out the audience on every one as well. If you look at what that looks like on the landing page, it does call it out, but it's still making sure that whoever's reading who's ever on this page, reassuring them they're in the right place, right?
Right.
Attention got your online marketer, and then how every online marketer. So we were following a formula, and then Jim and I, we each had a wild card where Jim was able to write whatever he wanted, and I was able to write whatever I wanted. And we just turned off yours, Jim. I'm just saying, we just turned it off like today. And so here's the interesting thing, because Jim and I are very experienced copywriters. Well, you are. I play one on the internet. And so, we outperformed the paint by numbers. But what you need to know is the paint by numbers still beat out the control. And at the end of the day, this doesn't mean that this specific headline is now going to work for your business. This is why we test. This is why we test, and why we test broad meta strokes of where somebody is in your funnel, so to speak, or in your page, actually. And so,
and can I say one other thing? Can I just say one other thing? This is also, every single one of these could and God, when I say this, people will start arguing. Every one of these angles could be tested in a Facebook ad as well. So we're saying that these are headlines, but a lot of these things could function also as a Facebook ad. And I'm not going to get into claims and all this other crap that people want to argue as soon as you mention Facebook ads, but these could, in some form or fashion, each be a little Facebook ad with a call to action and with a picture, and you could test those angles super fast.
I mean, dude, if we're really going there, one way to do this, especially if you don't have the ability to test, 8 things at one time, is to do it first as a Facebook ad, seeing what that engagement is like, and then picking the winner of that to then test, because otherwise you're going to spend so much money and so much time if you only have one at bat on the funnel side. But on the Facebook side, I understand Facebook ads are expensive, but think about it. If you think about a funnel, the ad is really the top of the funnel, right? And you could say, well, something else, but in other words, it's higher than your landing page because more people see the ad than they do the landing page. Just like more people see your landing page more than they see the checkout page, and more people see the checkout page more than your OTO. And so what that means is that you could test faster and cheaper and more things at once. And there's a whole process. Shout out to Mint CRO. I'm in part of their mastermind, and they do this as like this engineering approach to build a Facebook ad into a page to convert with like crazy testing beyond the scope of this training. But you can check them out. Tell them that Dave and Jim sent you. So where are we now, and what are we going to be doing next time? So
we'll talk about this. I interrupted you. You didn't get to talk about this headline that you freestyled.
I feel like we want to. Should I? I mean, I'm happy to. Yeah. Okay. Look, I got a whole bag of tricks of doing this for 18 years.
No. I mean, what do you mean? What do you mean? You didn't want to talk about just talk about the headline for 30 seconds. You don't have to give them a college degree. Just say, hey, I yanked this one out of my butt.
Okay. So if you look at my headline and Jim headline, right? There's a lot of similar elements, right? And the one thing that I did was something I've learned. And again, this is the cool thing about doing split testing, because I have massive imposter syndrome, guys. And so both Jim and I do, and we've been awarded all these cool prizes and made a bunch of sales, and Russell seems to think we're smart and likes us, which is a good thing, and to have both of those things. And but sometimes I'm like, well, am I like, is this? And so to test things and to get validated is really good. Not personally validated, but like statistically validated. And so one of like my little like bags of tricks is like, sometimes when you make such a bold claim, and especially in the marketing world, when you're marketing the marketers, people are so over it. There's like these over the top claims that if you make this claim, it seems, if something is, what do you say, Jim? If something is too good to be true,
prove it.
It is. Yeah.
No, if something's too good to be true, prove it.
Okay. So what we're doing here is, when I'm saying in only 2 clicks, one of my favorite things to do, and I've done this in emails before, like the asterisk, instead of like the PS, if you guys know copywriting with the emails, like people skim to the PS. And one of the things that I've done since like Get Kombucha, like, 12 years ago, is I do asterisks in my copy, and then I'd have like the asterisks in the bottom, like a footnote, if you will. Have you ever seen like a scientific research papers where they do that and they cite it? And what that does is it's, with the PS section, people are skimming, but with the asterisk, it's like a callback. And when I did like improv and comedy, like that callback is like a really cool thing. It's like an open loop, and you're closing that loop. And so it works really well when you make a claim, because this gets associated with like real claims, right? Like, you ever seen like real claims, how there's usually an asterisk, and then you read the fine print, and usually the fine print, it's like, try this free thing. And then like there's an asterisk, and then you look at the asterisk, and it's like, this isn't free. We're going to bill you $500 next month. And even when you try to cancel, it doesn't matter. We're going to ruin your credit. And right. And so the twist on that is calling out that asterisk and saying, watch video below to see in only 2 clicks proof. And there you go. So that is that. And so I think that is why this is winning just a little bit, because really what the point of this headline is, the main goal of this headline is what, Jim? Is it to get the sale, or is it what?
To get them to watch a video.
There you go, baby. Because look how handsome you are, man. How could I not buy from you? How could I not? You could try. It's futile.
The purpose of your headline is to get people to stop what they're doing and pre-frame them for what's coming next. In this case, it's to get them to watch the video. It's like the purpose of this chunk is to get them to the next chunk, to get them to the next chunk, to get them to the next chunk, when you think about building blocks on your copy.
That's right. Yep. And so what this is doing is it's pulling people in. So we're calling out that audience. We're giving them what we tested. And again, this is why you need to test, and you need to test the way that Jim teaches. It's like more of a meta, broader strokes first. And then this little asterisk is then calling it back. And we are then giving them a call to action, starting with a verb. Watch video below to see in only 2 clicks proof. And proof is also, I think, like now they're clicking into this video to see the proof. because it's like bold claim. And what do we say? If something's too good to be true, what did you say?
Prove it,
right?
Prove it.
And so we're now proving it, and then boom, watching the video. And because you're so handsome and you have a great offer, that leads to an 8.4% sales conversion versus a 2.78, a 3.3, a 5, a 4. And our this was, remember, our control. So what does that mean, Jim? What's the difference between 2.78 sales conversion and 8.43 sales conversion?
Like 400%.
There you go. Yeah. So and so people always have this thing. It's like, whoa, it's 5% difference. Like, what's the big deal? It's like, no. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm curious. Anybody watching, right? Like, who would want to go from a 2.6 to 8.7?
If we put that into dollar perspective, so every time we do this, would you rather make $2.50 or would you rather make $8.43? So when you get 100 of these, that means you're either going to have $250 or you're going to have $840. That's a big difference. So as soon as you start thinking about it in terms of dollars, it's a huge, huge, huge difference.
Yep.
And in a lot of cases, it's a difference between losing money, breaking even, or being profitable.
Yes, and buying an extra home. I mean, really, I've seen, we've seen funnels that like, I mean, dude, a 4x is like, that's like nutty. And so full disclosure here. And because this is why like Jim and I, cause we both have been coaching and stuff like that. And as much as like, we love getting paid to talk and help people, we want to know ourselves if something's going to work or not. And we're always like, listen, like I've seen you and Russell do Funnel Fridays and you build this page and then you're like, now go run it. Or I'm on a coaching and it's like, okay, now do that. And it's like the worst thing in the world when somebody doesn't even implement the thing, because we want to know. And honestly, if our advice like hurt their business, I want to know, because it's a learning. Everything we're doing is coming from a hypothesis. So it's like, great. So then we turn it off and then we go the other direction. And so with that said, in Beat That Headline, Jim and I have been very adamant, is that a word, that we want to share with you guys, not just the ideas and the frameworks, which is awesome, but it's everywhere. We want to share the results as much as we can, as long as we have, obviously permission in the businesses that we work on and our own. So right now what you see are 2 tests that are still running, and we're going to, I believe, hopefully continue to run. And we'll, if you guys would like, we could come back with another show to choose the one and final winner. It's like Highlander. There could only be one. I'm not sure if you remember that show.
It can be only one.
Channel 9. Channel 9, dude. I didn't have cable growing up. I love that show, Channel 9. And we'll get to that probability to win. Right now it's at a 40% and a 60%. We want to get that up to like an 80, 90, 95%, so that it is statistically significant, so that I could start coming to my WeWork wearing like a cape and a cane and a crown and a chalice and pickle juice just being like spilled from my cup, overfloweth, if you will.
Yeah. Somehow I think on the streets of Tel Aviv, you might get arrested. Just saying. I don't know.
Possibly.
Maybe if you're wearing a mask.
This country has other things that they're worried about than little me with rocking out the pickle juice cape. But
a pickle fetish.
One way to find out, we could test that. So Jim, in closing, anything you want to add to the viewers? So by the way, if we get 100 comments on this thing, we will come back and do another results of this thing, and maybe we'll give you some goodies as well, like our reporting spreadsheet, like maybe some extra trainings. Maybe we'll give you $10,000. Notice how I say maybe on all of these things. And we just really want to spread the word of our love, both for copy,
free unicorn rides,
for testing, and most importantly for helping people grow their business, because we believe that if you're doing something in your business, it's hopefully for good to help people. So we want to help you help your audiences.
We want to help you help yourself, help your audience, help you help us. See, we're paying it forward and it's coming back.
It's the boomerang of shows.
Never failing boomerang of marketing karma. The one thing I would tell you, and just ask everybody, how interested would you be in Dave and me running like a challenge, like a week-long headline testing challenge, a week-long, just a challenge to get you off the mark, to get the different broad stroke headlines written, to get everything together so that you could actually test your own headlines, teach you where to test, not just because this works not just on sales pages, but I mean, this works in emails, this works in social media, this works in ads, this works in all these different places where you can use the principles that we're teaching you here. And I'm just curious if anybody would be interested in a challenge, because I think over 5 days, we would be able to really help you to get on the road to some really, really cool results. So let us know. I'm seeing some yeses. So that's a good thing, Martha. So that's all I got.
Right.
I think this was great. And big props to Dave and his team for setting all this up and running it on the back end. I know they have a really cool tool, which makes it super easy to be able to do this kind of testing without the, let's just say, the huge pain in the butt that was multivariate testing before. Now they're making it, they've got something that makes it really, really easy, and doing it without getting a gajillion billion visitors in order to get statistically significant results. So that's a cool thing, and I appreciate y'all taking care of that. And big shout out, and I appreciate all of you being here. And so we will look forward to seeing you next time on the next episode of
Beat
That
Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next time for the next episode of Beat That Headline, the show where beating it in front of others is totally acceptable. In fact, profitable, fun, and engaging. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.